1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 44. And, I mean, it's 2 4s. Nothing special about the number. I don't know why I keep trying to think of something for it. But we are now 8 episodes away from our 1-year anniversary on the podcast.
You know when you feel like you've forgotten something?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't think of what it is, and so you're just like, it can't be anything. And it always turns out to be something.
Something very important, oftentimes,
Yes.
in my case.
I'm checking, I am recording my audio. That's basically the only responsibility I have. I still feel like I'm fucking up.
I've had meetings at work where I'll go in and I'll talk to somebody and I feel like we cover a lot of topics and I feel like, okay, there's something I'm forgetting. And then I leave the meeting and 10 minutes later I'm like, the most important thing I needed to talk to them about, the whole reason I scheduled this thing, that's what I didn't talk to them about.
Yeah. You know, you just walk out of the meeting room after 2 hours and you're like, I'm not wearing trousers.
If I didn't notice that, somebody else definitely would. Although not these days. Everything below the camera.
Exactly.
You know.
I'm wearing PJs bottoms right now, so...
I'm actually, fully dressed, even though I don't have to be. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into some topics. So,
yeah.
we have a few. Both of mine, well, one of mine is definitely very short. The other one we might be able to go on about, and let's start with that one, because it's what we were talking about beforehand. Blue pointed out to me, and I'm surprised I didn't hear about this, the U.S. Army YouTube channel, specifically the Go Army YouTube channel, put out a series of...
Go Army!
Yeah. A series of very, very cringy animated videos that I guess were meant as recruitment things. They range from just being condescending and kind of, like I said, cringy, to being just outright insulting. And I was getting a kick out of watching these. So basically what they are is they pick a person and they do an animated version of their story, and they go they try to really emphasize that, the whole diversity element of this.
Yeah, they're all real enlisted men and women, by the way.
They are, yeah. And like I said, I only saw 2 of them. I saw one that was just I honestly had to turn the volume down to stop myself from losing brain cells. But I can't remember what it was. The woman in it, she was talking about how she wanted to be popular or cool or something like that, and it was teenage drama, and for some reason that led her to join the army.
So the one that Kaiser's talking about, it's a little girl who grew up doing violin and ballet. She had 2 mothers. One of her mothers got sick once, but then that mother got better, and then her mothers got married. The girl then joined a sorority, and all of the other people in the sorority ended up going off and doing these incredible things like climbing mountains, doing other incredible stuff, and she was like, I want to do something cool, I'm going to join the army.
Yeah. And
so essentially 90% of it had nothing to do with the army.
And I think when you tell the story like that, it actually sounds pretty good. And I think one of the things that annoyed me about these ads was the presentation. Because the way you just described that's a fairly inspirational story. She wants to make something... I mean, it's a little bit of one. I mean, she...
Her friends went and did something cool, so she thought, I'm going to do something cool. What's cool? Army's kind of cool, I guess.
Okay, so it's a peer pressure sort of thing. But the one I actually liked, the one I watched was, it was this dude, and he was in the inner city, and he was there was a lot of potential bad influences around him, and he ended up joining ROTC, which is the young officer kind of training program you can do in a lot of American schools and colleges. And I
believe he was he wasn't born in America.
Oh, was
He
it?
came over to America, and America like took him in, and that's part of why he wanted to kind of give back. I think.
We may be talking about different people. This is that isn't this guy. I don't think.
Okay.
This is the guy who was like, but again, his reason for joining ROTC was I didn't want to do gym class.
Right. That doesn't sound like the same guy, but I don't know.
Yeah. So he's like, I didn't want to do gym class, so I did this, but it turned out to be harder than gym class. But it taught me discipline and blah blah blah.
Right.
But it's a presentation. They do it in this like haphazard, like kind of mildly sarcastic, ironic, eye-rolling kind of way, which what is that doing in an army recruitment ad? Like the kind of like lazy millennial nihilist that's going to watch that and join the army. You don't want them in the military. Although maybe it'd be good for them. But like the story itself isn't too bad. It was like he was kind of lazy and drifting and not really wanting to do much, but he just on a whim joins this program and he learns discipline and becomes a stronger and better person for it, and is inspired by that. That I actually found but they didn't present it like that. They presented it like, oh, I was lazy and I just decided to do this, and you know what? It was great. And it just maybe I'm being too harsh on these, but they just felt so. I can't. Cringe is really. I keep using the word, but it fits them perfectly.
Yeah, I feel like cringe and woke go hand in hand these days.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what they were aiming for. They were aiming to be very politically correct, and the army's not a politically correct place.
No.
If you go into boot camp thinking that everyone's going to be nice to you... In fact, actually, I think they have to, by law, be nice to you these days. They've taken so much out of basic training, from what I've heard, that it's not anything like it used to be anymore. It's, you know what, like, shark attacks are?
Yeah.
So, like, 3 drill instructors will get right up in your face. They'll be, like, not actually hitting you, just screaming in your face. So that it scares the shit out of you to not do something again. And everyone around you sees your mistake and says, fuck, that, I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make that mistake either. They're gone from the regime. You can't shark attack anymore. That's not a thing.
And I can... sorry, did you have more to that thought?
No, you go on.
So, yeah, that's something that, like, and to an outside person, to somebody who isn't, like, in the military, isn't going to go off and fight, like, yeah, to a civilian, that sort of thing seems cruel and harsh. But there's a reason. When you actually get out there in combat, that's more cruel and more harsh. So it's an inoculation. It's a vaccine against the pain and suffering that you're going to have to face potentially when you actually get deployed. So, and it varies, like, depending on the branch and your involvement. I mean, there are people who do, like, National Guard part-time, and they're very well trained, but they're not going to have to face the kind of intense combat scenarios somebody in, like, the Special Forces would have to face. So,
right, yeah.
But it's this idea that I'm not going to go too deep into it because I'm not, like, a huge expert on it. It's just, from the outside in, it looks really bad. Like, it looks like the whole point of, like, the whole wokeness, political correctness is you're protecting people's feelings. That's the good intention behind it, is you want to prevent yourself from, harming people emotionally, upsetting them, and some. It's politeness taken to an extreme. It's like super polite, but and it goes beyond that. But the last thing that you need in a military setting, in a combat setting, and, like, when you're actually out there fighting someone, like, they don't give a shit about, like, whether or not they're going to hurt your feelings. They're trying to shoot you. Like, so it's, to juxtapose this, I won't beat that point too far. When Blue told me about these videos and I watched them, and then I found a video linked below them, which was, they showed that ad. I think it was the first one I saw with the woman, and then it was like then it immediately followed by showing the Chinese Army's recruitment ad and then the Russian Army recruitment ad, and they were like basically what the U.S. Army and Marine and all the other branches, what their recruitment ads used to look like. They were badass. They made you want to go out. They got you hyped up and like, oh, this is going to be cool and like exciting and intense, and it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to be awesome afterwards. They hyped you up, and the top comment below the video that I watched probably summed it up perfectly. And this guy just wrote, after watching the Chinese Army recruitment ad, I want to join the Chinese Army. After watching the Russian ad, I want to join the Russian Army. After watching the American ad, I want to join either the Chinese or the Russian Army. And it was like, that's really the state it's in right now. That, just...
Yeah, God. Even, like...
The kind of soft, gelatinous person that those army ads would, like, actually appeal to are not the people you want in the military. I'm sorry.
It's like the fucking line from... God, what's that film with Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when he's like, I'm the asshole you want on the wall.
Yeah, yeah. You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, that one.
So, yeah, there's... what was it? That's such a good line, too. Hold on, talk for a second. I want to find that actual quote.
Okay. Yeah, there was... They actually replaced the Shark Attack. There was actually something they put back instead, and it's called the First 100 Yards or something. Mm-hmm. And basically, it's just an exercise routine. It's like you pick up a bunch of stuff, you carry it, I guess 100 yards, then you put it back as it was, and you do some jumping jacks or something. I don't know. So they were live streaming like the first time this was being done, and they had some big top shot who was, I think, wanted, who was the person who ordered this to be done. And he was going around and he was talking to like the drill sergeants. The drill sergeants were like clenching their teeth and saying, oh yeah, this is so much better than the Shark Attack. Yeah, And then they're like, alright, let's go and talk to one of the people who are doing it right now. And this poor fucking kid comes over, fresh into basic training, and they're like, so how are you finding it? And he's like, I expected it to be harder. Goes into basic training and says, I expect it to be harder in front of like a very high-ranking member of the military and his drill sergeant.
That's awesome.
Oh my god. And it was live-streamed, so they couldn't even cut it out.
I mean, but that's true. Like, I don't know. I seriously considered joining the military when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I didn't end up doing it. I ended up going to college, but I still, even in college, like when I saw the ROTC people like going around and stuff, I was still tempted. But I ended up not doing it. Now I think I'm kind of past the prime recruitment age. So
well, I don't know.
I think you're allowed to join up until somewhere in your early to mid 30s, but for like the actual like combat roles and stuff like that, they want you in your like 20s.
To be fair, yeah, as like you could quite easily probably get like some kind of combat engineering role.
Yeah. But
you would still have to go through training though.
Yeah, but again, and the reason I brought that up is half of the appeal of joining up and doing something like that is the intensity, is the difficulty of it.
So give me pushed to the fucking limit.
Yeah. Anyway, so I found the quote.
Go on.
I'm gonna try to do the voice too. It's like, I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the blanket of the very freedom that I provide, and then questions the manner in which I provide it.
That was beautiful.
I would rather you just say thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a weapon and stand the post. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you're entitled to. This is a really, really good speech.
And that was a really good accent.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's so many great one-liners from that, or more.
That was a really good movie.
It was. But we're not talking about movies. That's for segment 2.
Yeah, let's move on to something a little bit more positive.
Indeed.
Actually, before we get on to your thing, I just want to talk. Well, yeah, I'll just say it real quick. As of today, lockdowns have been lifted in my state. No mask requirements, no capacity limitations, nothing like that. You can go out and live your lives. Thank you, Massachusetts.
Holy crap. I would have thought your state would have been the last one to kind of...
Yeah, we have kind of a... I think the last one's probably going to end up being California, because California's a moron. But no, it's summer here, and people are just like, all right, let's get moving again. We also have, one of the highest vaccination rates in the country, so that probably contributed to the decision.
Yeah, Massachusetts sounds more like kind of one of the older, more responsible sisters of the family.
Yeah, we have a weird thing in my state. So most other states, they're kind of dominated by one political party or the other. Massachusetts is a hybrid. Like, in presidential races, we always vote Democrat, overall. But it's not by a massive majority. Like, pretty much the entire western half of the state votes the other direction. So what we end up with is our senators and a lot of our legislature are on the left side. And then our governor and the other portion of the legislatures and mayors, they tend to be on the Republican side. And because of that, we tend to usually take a very level, neutral stance in a lot of political issues, which is very rare in the U.S. these days. Yeah. Like, our governor's a Republican and our senators are Democrats. And I feel like that balances us out as a state.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you don't want all on one side, really, even if you do support one side. Yeah,
it doesn't matter which way you lean. Everyone has their biases, everyone has their perspective, and it's important to have both.
Yeah, it's like having a monopoly in a business. You do still kind of want a competitor, because otherwise a business will get lazy or will get cruel.
Yeah, monopolies either end up becoming, you either get a shit service or an exploitative company.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yay! No.
Just wanted to throw that out there because I'm happy about it. This afternoon, I am going to a restaurant, and I'm going to get lunch, and I'm not going to wear a mask, and they're not going to have all the fucking plexiglass everywhere.
Any plans for delicious meals?
I'm thinking they got a really good steak sandwich.
Nice. Can't go wrong with a steak, can you?
No, I'm hungry for meat.
You're always hungry for meat. There was no hidden meaning behind that, but whatever.
You made yourself laugh. All right, go on now we got a happier... well, that was a happy top. We got another happy top.
It was. Well, I'm thinking about my burrito I'm having later. Yeah, no, I was just, looking around on Twitter, I think it was, and a newspaper was covering an Instagram profile, I feel like when we talk about something like Instagram or Twitter, we always have very negative reviews. Every so often there's a diamond in the rough, as it were.
Yeah, and this is one.
Yeah, it's, and I'm just going to call them an artist, because that's essentially what they are, who has had the idea during lockdown of basically artistically bruising bananas.
Yeah.
And has made some, goddamn masterpieces on the side of bananas, which she then eats.
Yeah,
because obviously it breaks down, so you can't keep it.
Yeah, it's not something you take a picture and then that's it. But yeah, when a banana, when you bruise it, you end up with the brown on the yellow, and she used the brown to actually... And it's some pretty intricate pictures.
Yeah, there's shading, there's freaking, cross-hatching, it's... oh my gosh.
She's got one that, looks like... Yeah, it's like a camera with one of those really long lenses. She's got one with, a dog relaxing in front of a fireplace, and it, the shadow is all done in the bruising. It's really well... What's this person?
Yeah.
I feel like, the Instagram, I guess... Is this a Banana Bruiser? Banana_Bruiser?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, @banana_bruiser.
If you're one of the people that actually use Instagram, this is actually something kind of cool to look at.
It is. Even just for like two... I think she has like 500 plus of them.
Dear God.
Like, that's a lot of potassium to eat. I'm assuming she's eating all these bananas.
Yeah, hopefully not too many of them. Potassium can actually stop your heart if you have too much of it.
Ooh. Well, it started since the lockdown, so how... That's...
Like, one banana a day isn't going to do any harm, but if you're eating, like, 6 or 7 bananas a day...
How long has it been since the lockdown started now?
Just over a year. It started... In the US, it started in mid-March.
So she's having about 2 bananas a day?
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Unless she's... Maybe, to be fair, she's probably got other people
I should clarify. That's just a random... Don't be scared of bananas, people out there. Like, you need a lot.
Bananas are great.
A lot of potassium to actually cause any kind of bodily harm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of, like, people who take, like, potassium tablets have to be careful because that's a concentrated dose.
Mm.
Sorry, I said this was a happy topic, and
Yeah, well, it is. They're really cool bananas. Yeah, I don't know how much more there is to talk about it, but go check them out.
It's a good segue, I think, into... I don't know. The problem I have is I feel like a lot of art is kind of vapid and talentless these days. Like, when I've railed multiple times against, like, the stereotypical modern art.
Right, yeah.
The stuff that's just... It's like, oh, it's just trying to send a message or something like that.
It's a blank piece of paper with a white spot on it.
Yeah, or...
Yeah.
Here's a picture of somebody that glued gold sequins to their face or something like that. And it's like, okay, fine. But it just...
Wow, you gotta attack me personally, haven't you, cuz?
I mean, I can... If somebody wants to send a message and do some kind of... essentially make a metaphor photograph or something like that, okay, fine. I get it, but I have no respect for that. Because any sort of... I have very little artistic talent. But if I can do it, then I don't have any respect for this person being called and held up as an artist. Like,
What about the art installation made by Shia LaBeouf?
I mean, which one? He did a ton of them.
The flag one, the We Will Not Be Moved.
No, it was He Will Not Divide Us.
Oh, that's the one.
So when he first started that thing, it started off at a museum. And it was a museum, it was down in New York City. I could have gotten there.
Was it in a museum?
It was on the outside wall of a museum.
Yeah.
So it was technically a museum exhibit. It was on the museum grounds, and it was by the consent of the museum. Oh my god, that was so much fun to watch. I watched that stream, like, I just had it on. I was like 2016, I want to say?
It was so cringe, though. Like,
but that's why I loved watching it. Like, there was... When Shia LaBeouf was down there chanting, like, "He will not divide us," and, like, some troll kid is right behind him, "He will not incite us." Like, Shia LaBeouf's, like, getting in his face and threatening the kid. Oh my god.
And he punched one of his own supporters.
It was so much fun to watch that. Like, so, to background for people that don't know, about 4 years ago, right after Trump got elected, Shia LaBeouf did an art piece called "He Will Not Divide Us." And, of course, it got trolled to hell. It was a constant, always-on live stream on the wall of a museum, and people were supposed to stand in front of the camera and chant that. But what happened was, the moment this went on the internet, people were like, I can be on a camera that millions of people are watching and do something stupid? Hell yeah! And so, I was tempted. I actually almost booked a flight down there just to fuck with the camera. Because I had vacation time, and New York's only like an hour flight, or a 6-hour train ride, or something like that. I could get there in a day. And I didn't end up doing it, but I was so tempted. Like, I was looking up flight times, I was looking at hotels in the area, but I ended up just not doing it. It's one of my deep regrets. Anyway, the thing got trolled so heavily that Shia LaBeouf eventually took it down, and then put a flag up somewhere, and then had that live streamed. And then people used, like, planes flying through the air and star patterns.
4chan.
Yeah, they managed to find it. Somebody got to it, took down the flag, and raised like a Pepe Frog flag or something on top of it.
I can't remember what it was they brought up. There was a lot of bad people from World War II references.
Yeah. It was...
And yeah, like I said, Shia LaBeouf did at one point actually physically assault someone.
Yeah.
So it didn't... Oh god, he's such a fucking idiot.
He is, but like, I respect him for, like, I don't know. It's been too long for it to be a bit. Like, I feel like he's legitimately trying to do things that are out there and creative. So, and he does seem to respect a certain level of parody. Like that actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf song.
Yeah.
That, like, he collaborated with them and did a video version of it with them. And it, like, it was actually good. I don't know, he's done some legitimately good things in the past. Like, I remember seeing him he was on a Disney TV show when I was a kid called Even Stevens. He played, right, like, the kind of the schlubby younger brother on that show. Anyway, we got off on a tangent there. So
bananas.
That the thing is, like, that one, I do respect that piece. That's an example of a modern art piece that I do respect. And I respect it not because I agree with the message that he had. I respect it because, he really committed to it. That thing went on for months. Even when
it had a story. Like, it had something behind it that was real. It
became like almost a social experiment with all the different characters that got involved. There were people that were like... It was like a sitcom. There were running characters that would show up on this thing.
And even at the end, when it was taken to a person's personal property inside their house, in like a blank room with the flag stuck up there, the 4chan people still found the fucking flag because it was inside someone's property. It would be illegal to do anything. So I really do think that 4chan kind of won, in some respects, the battle. Yeah,
I mean, oh my god, it was such a funny saga. But no, I mean, I just to bring it back to the banana person, like, I just there's a level when I look at, like, classical art. Like, there's the Boston Art Museum. I've been there once or twice, and I remember going through, and they have tons of, like, old paintings and art from, centuries and centuries, and they have some historical stuff, archaeological bits. And I just, like, the level of talent and detail that you can get in those, like, the watercolor paintings and things like that. I'm like, that is just... Or it's not... Excuse me, just burped. Hopefully that didn't pick up on the mic. But just the level of detail and talent, like, I'm just awed by that sort of stuff. But then I go to, like, the modern art section of the museum, which it's got its own smaller wing, and I remember I went there with a friend of mine, and it was just all shit.
To be fair, I think modern art is the wrong term to use for it. I think it should be, like, I don't know, expressionist art or something. It's not modern times that define it. It's it's like third eye shit. If you know what I mean by that. Like, I think narrative driven art.
Here's something that, like, I'm trying to figure out a way to articulate the reason that the two types of art, whatever you want to call them, strike me differently. A lot of the art they have there that's from, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, that art is timeless. It was impressive
Classical,
then. Yeah, it's impressive now. It's going to be impressive in 200 years. Most of the modern art, I'm quotation marks, that have a message. It's pretty much defined by them having some kind of a message.
I mean, you could compare.
No. Let me finish my thought. So it's defined by having that message. In 100 years, when that message is no longer relevant, it's meaningless. It's not going to be impressive anymore. That's kind of what the difference is. Something that a lot of the older art, it expressed or showed something timeless. Even if if it did have a message, it was some kind of core message about, the human experience, something that's going to be relevant as long as there are humans. Whereas a lot of the modern art stuff that I saw its message was topical. It was about something that's going on in the modern day, and it'll be irrelevant in 50 years.
Yeah, and obviously art can span different boundaries. So you could have just like a really nice picture of Venice from the 18th century or something. I don't know, or whenever the fuck Venice was around. I have no idea. And that would be like a historical painting. It could also just be a aesthetically nice to look at painting. But then you get something like, I don't know, The Last Supper, where it has significant historical meaning. It has the religious aspect to it. All these things. It wouldn't even have to be a particularly nice looking painting in this day and age for it to have such significance.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's... I don't know if there's any any painting out there that particularly covers all of these aspects in one. But I feel like the more of them you can include, almost the better it is, because the more meaning it has behind it, the more ways you can look at it, the more depth it has.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you can go in either direction to make a work of art timeless. You either, like you're using as an example, it's loaded with so many different layers of significance on top of actually being aesthetically pleasing to look at. Or you go in the opposite direction, where it focuses so heavily on one very sharp aspect that is itself timeless, and it does it so well and to such an extreme that it lasts through time.
Yeah. I mean, if you want aesthetically pleasing stuff, don't go to a museum, I would say. If you want aesthetically pleasing stuff, go on the internet, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of amazingly drawn stuff made with computers by people, and it's just insane how beautiful some of it is.
There is a remarkable degree of talent out there. Like, you go to some places so one of the things one of my favorite discoveries in the last few years is the site Displate. They make these metal portraits, essentially.
Literally got one in the corner of my room.
I've got one right here.
They do Master Chief.
They do video game. Yeah, the one no one can see this because this is audio, but I'm holding up one of these. It's basically like a metal plate, and printed on this one is a kind of artistic rendering of Master Chief from the Halo games. But they also have not just video game stuff. They have kind of more abstract things. They have landscapes and all of this, but it's gorgeous and it's beautiful. It's mostly, but the fact that, and you can get it for I think it was this one was $50 or something like that. But, and that's just one thing. You go to a million different websites out there, and you can find just absolutely gorgeous artwork. That I think modern time. This is maybe one of the reasons that quote unquote modern art disappoints me so much. Is you go on the internet, and with modern tools and the way information is spread out there, there's a plethora of talent and people who can make these beautiful things. And the fact that the people, to try and send some kind of a message, are deliberately making the work ugly or talentless just makes me sad.
Yeah, that's it. So the one I've got in the corner, I know you're talking about the whole the different types. It's not just video game art and stuff. The one I've got is of my local city. It's got a black background, and all the streets are in a volcanic orangey red. And it's literally just a layout of the city. It looks fucking amazing. It's actually a gift for my brother, who I'm probably going to give him tomorrow now I think about it. But I've been holding on to it since before Christmas. And yeah, they're quite a good... This sounds like an advert for Display, but it's not, I swear to God. I think I got Go on.
We're plugging a couple different things this time.
True. Bananas. I wish
this podcast brought to you by bananas.
I wish it was like Red Shell or something, so I could actually put my own designs. Because like that, imagine how fucking awesome that the shotgun one that I made, the red, the Bucky. I would love that as a display. That would be my pride and joy.
There's probably somewhere out there you can do custom ones.
Maybe, but yeah.
All right. So
what time are we on? How much time have we got before?
We actually we're 5 minutes over the 30-minute mark. So
yeah.
I mean, we talked a lot about this. Again, I feel it's been a while since I've made this disclaimer. We're both laymen's in pretty much everything we talked about here. I mean, well, Blue actually does some design work and art, so maybe you're more of an expert than I am. But
slightly, but I know you. I'm not. I don't consider myself an artist. I consider myself a designer. Whether there's no difference to some people out there, I don't know. I'm not one of these people who sits in like a blank room and puts hand paint on my hands and like smears it and like I can see the shape of God now. No, I'm like I like squares. I can make them into pretty shapes. That's my level.
Oh, God! I gotta tell you about something after this. But yeah, all right. Let's leave it there. We actually watched teaser for segment 2. We actually watched 2 movies this week, so we've got a lot to talk about. Stay tuned for that. But for now, this is going to be the end of segment 1 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you'll hear us again momentarily for segment 2. And welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 2, our media segment, and as I teased in segment 1, we have 2 movies this week. Because last week we had none.
Did we?
Yeah, we didn't have a movie last week. We spent most of the time talking about that novel series that I liked, Kingkiller Chronicle.
Yeah.
And then took a very weird tangent into talking about Tinder.
I can't even remember. Man, my memory is so bad.
I just edited the video yesterday, which is why it's fresh in my mind. But yeah, so
every week when I come to make the thumbnails, I have to go to Kaiser and be like, "What did we talk about? We talked too much about random crap off the podcast."
It's 2. We could have, yeah. This podcast came about because, I mean, this is basically the cadence of our normal conversations. Anyway, first movie.
We didn't have busy enough lives, as it were.
True. First movie was Alicia's choice, and she chose Baby Driver.
Baby Driver.
Which I heard the name and immediately thought of. Isn't there? As an actress, Minnie Driver. She was in that other movie we watched, Grosse Pointe Blank. She was the... I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
I have no idea. I had no idea what this movie even was. I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I'd seen clips from it from, like, insider things where they get an expert to review scenes. And I think this movie came up quite a bit. So I'd seen little parts of it, like when the military dude, who we'll go into detail on later, rams into their getaway car.
Yeah, so it's like a... kind of a crime heist movie, action, driving. It's one of those movies, kind of like in the Fast and the Furious kind of vibe, like the older Fast and the Furious movies, where you just don't think too hard about it, turn your brain off, and enjoy watching it. Because it's very entertaining, but there are quite a few things, which I'm sure Blue is going to point out, that once you actually think about them for more than a few minutes, you're like, that's absolutely idiotic.
Well, I feel like you came away with probably more grievances on this one than I did.
Oh, really? Okay.
Quite possible. I mean, it got the end of the film, and like usual, so it ended, and I was like, right, I'm going to let you guys talk first, because I'm normally the grumpy guts. And God, I don't know, you guys weren't fans of this time. I thought...
So, I'll do the plot synopsis, and then we can kind of get into the meat of it.
Sure.
Basically, the movie opens up, and you've got these 4 people in a car, and 3 of them get out guns, go into a bank, and they're clearly robbing the place.
A lot of big name actors as well, by the way. Like, I was just thinking, that first scene, they have, like, 1 or 2 scenes with, I can't remember the guy's name. The guy who plays the role, I can't even remember the role's name.
Are you talking about...
In Marvel, the Punisher. The guy who plays the Punisher...
Why can I not picture his face?
He's pretty cool, dude. He's in the first scene.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. And the other guy... Well, I knew the other guy better than I knew that guy. The other guy was John Hamm. He's the guy that played Don Draper from Mad Men, which I love that series.
Right.
Like, it's a really... That whole series is a really good look at, like, the culture of the 1960s.
Right. Sorry, I interrupted your synopsis.
It's fine. So those 3 all get out of the car. 1 woman and then the 2 actors we just mentioned. I didn't recognize her from much. She had a face that made me think I've seen her in movies before, but I couldn't place her.
She kind of seemed like an add-on to the man, if that makes sense. She didn't really display much emotion. She didn't talk all that much. She was just an extension of
they
guy.
were like they had a Bonnie and Clyde kind of vibe to them. Anyway, this will all make sense when I actually describe it. And then the 4th person is the driver, and he's this, kid. I think he's supposed to be older in the movie, and I looked it up. At the time they filmed this, the actor was 23. He looked like he was 17 to me.
Apparently he's very attractive. I don't see it.
I mean...
Personally, he looks like a pop singer.
Yeah. But... Anyway, I mean, I'm in no place to comment on that. Anyway, so he's in there, he's listening to headphones, he's got his, cool guy sunglasses on. They look kind of like the Blues Brothers sunglasses.
Oh, don't you insult the Blues Brothers like that, bro.
It's another driver movie. Anyway, so... Shut up. He's... I'm just trying to wind you up now.
God.
So he's listening to a song, and it's actually... I can't remember what the song is, but it was pretty good. And it's just like, as the song's picking up, like he's watching what they're doing in there. They come out with the money. They all hop in there, and then he hits it and cue like a crazy over-the-top driving scene with all this, drifting, handbrake turns. He's driving up on walls, and he pulls these tricks to have them follow the wrong car and stuff. Then they switch cars, and they go back to their hideout.
Yeah.
Then we're introduced to Kevin Spacey, who's the guy, I think they just call him Doc or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's the guy he's the brains of it. He's organizing the jobs. And
I kept thinking of him as Alex Jones. Because he kind of looks like him.
Well,
he kind of talks like him.
Kevin Spacey. I never made that connection before, but they do look kind of similar.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Sorry, anyway, go on.
So the thing ends, and it's clear that one of the guys, the guy that we're talking about, the one that played the Punisher, he is not a fan that this little kid who didn't get his hands dirty going in there and was just the driver, like, he's getting an equal cut of the money and stuff, and he fucks with them. They have some banter back and forth, and they ride the elevator down to the car park, and Kevin Spacey and the kid get out, and it's revealed that the kid owes Kevin Spacey a lot of money, so he only gets a small amount of the cash, which is not insubstantial. He hands him like a couple grand, like in $100 bills. And the kid goes off, and then he's living with like a foster parent who's deaf, and he's talking to him in sign language and stuff. And the foster parent clearly knows that something's going on, because he's watching the news, and he's trying to encourage the kid to stop and everything, and the kid's like, one more job and I'm out, and that sort of stuff. Because
that cliche.
Yeah. It's like in a military movie, the older guy who's always talking about his upcoming retirement. It's like, oh, that guy's gonna die. Anyway, so goes on. There's a little subplot where he goes to a diner and he kind of flirts with the waitress there, and then
instantly hits it off.
Yeah. Fast forward to the next scene where it's a whole new crew, and think Jamie Foxx is like the big guy. They called him Bats in the movie. I think his name was.
Right.
He's kind of like a loose cannon. This guy's like, just a stone cold killer. This is his, like, he's kind of a hardcore criminal. And then there's two other guys that show up for this job. And then Kevin Spacey, again, he gives the briefing, and the whole time, the main character, Baby, that's why it's called Baby Driver, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. The kid has... Huh?
They never explain why he's called Baby, and it really annoys me.
Well, they do make a reference that there are, like, they have code names, but apparently he just has that name. I don't know. They don't explain it.
Yeah, because he tells his girlfriend that he's called Baby.
Yeah. And
so he wouldn't use his code name for that.
I don't know if that was his actual voice or if he was trying to do like an Elvis impersonation, but whenever he talked, yeah, my name is Baby. That's a B-A-B-Y. He sounded like...
have a bit of an accent.
He sounded like Elvis to me. I just kept... Yeah, my name's Baby. That's a B-A-B-Y. It was just... I don't know, I didn't...
Just Elvis Presley and Alex Jones.
Oh my god. Okay, so they pull off the next... They do the next job, right? And Jamie Foxx, Bats, it doesn't like the fact that he's listening to music during the briefing, and he gives him shit. And then he takes his earbuds out, and he can repeat everything that Kevin Spacey said verbatim. And again, so they're gonna go steal an armored truck. They go there, they get the armored truck. Baby's a little disturbed because he sees that Jamie Foxx killed the security guard instead of just knocking him out or something like that. And as they're trying to get away, this dude in a massive fucking pickup truck sees them, tries to stop them, like by ramming his car into them, and reaches into his, gloves box, pulls out a Glock, and starts taking some shots at him. Baby manages to get away, but the guy in the truck's still chasing him. And this was the bit that, like, confused me. The dude in the truck, it's implied that he's like a veteran or something like that, right? He pulls out, I'm pretty sure it was an MP5 submachine gun, which I don't know what kind of, like, it doesn't matter if you're a veteran or not, that you can't buy a submachine gun and just carry it in your car in the U.S.
Were they in California or something?
I think they were in Georgia. I think the police car said Atlanta on them.
Okay. Also, I would be amazed if any police force would have police cars that looked quite as fucking sports-esque as they had.
My state does.
No way. That was like...
Yeah. I can send you pictures. I saw one. If I walk around outside, I guarantee I'll see a few like that. Like, it depends on the state, but most of them these days, like, my state's police have Dodge Chargers. They have like these, big ass muscle cars. Like you should see it. They've got really, really good, really, really good cars. Some of the more, like, rural, poorer states might not have them quite that nice, but, I mean, at least where they were in Atlanta. Atlanta's, like, a big city, so they probably have enough budget to get, like, nice cars like that. Anyway, but so they pull off the job. This guy's chasing them down. Again, the fact that he pulled out a submachine gun just... That just boggled my mind. Anyway, so...
Also, I think any military member, for a start, they'd have everything stripped of them if they just picked up a submachine gun on a highway and was, like, firing out of a window on auto.
Yeah.
That's fucking illegal.
So you can...
So wrong.
It is possible to get automatic weapons as a civilian in the U.S., but it's extremely difficult, and you need, like, this Tier 3 federal license that is very difficult to get. Granted, if you were a veteran, you'd probably have a better chance than a normal civilian, but even then, there's severe restrictions on when and where you can use those automatic weapons.
Yeah, not on a public highway
you should not, driving. No, you would not have a fully loaded submachine gun in a car, and if you fired it, like you said, in public like that, you're in some deep shit.
Yeah. Whether there's criminals there or not, like...
Yeah. So they have this, cat and mouse pursuit. They eventually get to the point where they're driving parallel with the guy, and he's still trying to run him off the road. Jamie Foxx pulls out a shotgun and is gonna like shoot the guy right in the face, and Baby does some kind of move to like twist the car free and at the same time throw Jamie Foxx's aim off so he doesn't shoot the guy. They get back to the place. There's a threatening moment where Jamie Foxx is like, one of the other guys left his shotgun behind, and he's like, that guy's just a dumbass. But you're smart. You think. And it's like, did you throw my shot off on purpose? And then, Baby's like, no. And he's like, you're a bad liar. And then there's like that tense moment. And then they go back. And they get the cash and split it all out like normal. And as they're heading, like the next day when they're kind of splitting everything up, Baby notices that one of the guys, the guy that forgot his shotgun, isn't there. And it's implied that he's dead. They go down to the garage just like before in the earlier scene. What's his face? Kevin Spacey gives him the money like normal, and he notices that there's like a bloody rag sticking out of the back of Kevin Spacey's car, and Baby's...
Also, he says that's his last job as well.
Yeah, that was his last job. And so Kevin Spacey's like, yep, we're square, no problem.
But he has to dump the body with the...
Yeah, just the last thing is he has to dump the car with the body in it and have it crushed.
I was so sure that would have a car bomb in it.
Oh, really? You were thinking it was more sinister?
Yeah, he was like, that was your last job. And then he walks away from it in a sinister manner in a garage with a dead body in the car, and it's like, two birds with one stone right here.
Yeah. But then who's going to get rid of Baby's body? A bomb, like, attracts a lot of attention if he just brings it out there and gets it crushed. Like, a no-name thug is gone. No one's going to care.
Well, no, you could just, like, explode it in them anywhere.
True.
It's out of sight.
True. Anyway, so Baby does that, and then he's like, oh, I'm free, and he goes back to the diner and flirts with that girl again, and they make plans to go on a date and stuff like that. And they do, but at the restaurant they go on a date. This is what confused me, because I thought that he was a teenager for most of the movie, until he was on that date and he was drinking wine at the restaurant. So I'm like, so he is supposed to be in his 20s.
That's true, I hadn't even thought about that, because, yeah, he does look like a teenager, and she also kind of looks like a teenager.
But they were both drinking wine at the restaurant.
Yeah. This was like Ribena.
But that's the thing. It is also... that's the thing maybe you wouldn't have picked up on, but in the US, yeah, they have to be over 21.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kevin Spacey spots him there and basically threatens him into going like, oh yeah, we're straight, but you're still going to work for me.
Yeah.
And so then he now is put into another job, this time stealing money orders from a post office, the blank forms that they could turn into actual cash. And now it's back with two people from the original crew, the Bonnie and Clyde couple that I was talking about earlier, and then Bats is back. And so they go and prep for the job, and he has Baby case the post office, and he takes Kevin Spacey's son with him, who's like 8.
Yeah,
and this was the other like weird incongruity, because the lady behind the counter is asking like, "Oh, is this your kid?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, how old is he?" And he's like, 5." And the kid's like 8. And he's like, "Oh, they grow up so fast." And it's like, if he's 8, I still was not convinced that he was in his 20s. But even if he was, say, actual actor's age, 23, that means he had that kid when he was 15.
14. 15?
15. 23 minus 8. 23 minus 8 is 15.
Yeah. I'm having a blonde day, alright?
Anyway, they case it.
Just how fucking suspicious was it? Like, he didn't even know the kid's fucking name, and he was like, have you got a name, child? Like,
yeah.
When he just said that, I was like, what the fuck?
That lady was very, very innocent and trusting, and I think they made her that way on purpose to show, like, oh god, I can't do this, she might get killed. And...
oh god, postal workers are stupid.
Anyway.
That's how I saw it. It was very rude.
He makes plans that he doesn't want to do this anymore, essentially. He wants to run off with Waitress Girl, and they're going to drive off into the sunset and leave it all behind him, right?
Yeah.
Things go awry, because Jamie Foxx shoots some people who he didn't trust, and they
Dirty
go to
cops.
yeah, they go to the diner, and then they see the girl there, and he has to kind of act like everything's okay. And then they get back, and he tries to sneak off and run away, and gets caught by the two guys. And then after a very, very intense scene, they end up saying they're going to go ahead with the job, but basically Baby's on probation. So they go in, they pull off the job, and Jamie Foxx hits Baby in the face with the butt of a shotgun, and I don't know, he snaps because Jamie Foxx killed somebody, and so he floors it into a truck in front of them, and it a little piece of rebar that's sticking off the back of the truck goes right through Jamie Foxx's chest, and then it's this giant chase scene where the Bonnie and Clyde couple, they're going off crazy, machine guns, shooting random people, getting into shootouts with the cops.
Fucking hated that.
Yeah. Why?
Because she literally self-forever sleeped.
Yeah.
She stood up in front of a line of barricaded cops, 8 or more cops,
and just stood out
in the open.
Yep.
2 submachine guns, one in each hand, which, by the way, even akimbo pistols are fucking impossible to hit with. 2 huge fucking...
At that
just
distance,
stood in the open.
Yeah, the cops were at least 10, 20 yards away, and she's trying
multiple seconds.
Yeah, it was basically she just needed a reason to die so that her love interest could have a reason to go crazy. It just so stupid. The plot just needed to happen.
He was a cool guy as well, up to that point in the story where they're we need there to be drama here. We're just going to sacrifice this pawn, who basically she didn't say fucking anything for the whole film.
Yeah, She did threaten Jamie Foxx once. But
she did. She showed a kind of a psychotic side where she wanted, she was in this lover's fantasy where her partner would essentially bend the earth for her.
Yeah.
But, he didn't even recover her body.
Yeah, vengeance became more important for him after that.
Yeah.
So, the movie...
on the guys that killed her.
The movie culminates in, Baby running off with his love interest, and a giant, parking garage car fight happens where it's Baby... and Kevin Spacey ends up being a fairly decent guy. Or at least a little bit sympathetic.
A fucking 180 on Alex Jones's part. He goes from being this asshole who's not going to ever help. He's threatened his life, he's threatened his family, he's threatened everything. But the moment a fucking girl walks in, he sees a girl next to him, he literally goes from, I'm not going to help you at all, to, here is everything I have, here is a car, here is an escape plan, here is some money, here's your tape that you wanted.
So, I thought that was actually pretty logically consistent. Because he's... No, listen to me. He has a kid, right? Which means he had a family. He treats this very much professional, like a business. And I think in that moment where he saw this kid, now he's with his girl and they're trying to run off together, and he went from seeing him as just another one of these disposable criminals that I work with to somebody who's actually a little bit more wholesome and somebody who he had sympathy and could empathize with. That's how I read the scene, but you're right, it is a bit of a jump. You'd think he'd be a little bit more cold-hearted, but,
He literally gave his life for him.
That wasn't intentional, though. He wasn't going to give his life for him. He was going to just talk... The cops came, and he was going to be I'll deal with the cops, because he clearly had cops on his payroll. But it turned out to be John Hamm, the guy from earlier, who had stolen a cop car, and he just rams him. And he doesn't go down without a fight. He tries to shoot him in the driver's seat, but doesn't kill him.
He's trying to dodge there, I think. And he's
he should have tried to
dodge. Run. You should have gone. Well, I cover your back. I consider that as saving someone's life.
Yes,
telling one person to run while you stay and fight.
But he wasn't saying he was going to stay and fight. He was saying... He was thinking it was the police. He was going to talk to them. He wasn't going to fight.
No, because the baby actually shouted, that's not the police, that's before the guy started accelerating.
Okay. But again, even still, I agree he should have dodged. but I don't think it's inconsistent from a character perspective.
Also, that fucking windshield, like, no one ever got hit through a windshield. They're just, like, invincible in this fucking world.
Yeah, every windshield is made of bulletproof glass in this movie.
And they didn't destroy the moment they found the tapes with all the incriminating evidence on, they should have been burned.
Yeah, exactly. I was surprised they let him do the job.
Yeah. I mean, all he had to say was, "No, I'm going to do the job," and they were like, "Well, I guess he's going to do the job."
Well, the baby's the boss now.
Yeah.
But anyway, it culminates in this big car fight where Baby gets a car, John Hamm gets a car, and they just ram the shit out of each other and shoot at each other in this parking garage. Yeah, that is the entire scene.
Smacking cars together the whole time, basically.
And then John Hamm's car gets knocked off a ledge and blows up, and Baby gets away, and they drive off into the sunset, except the police catch them, and he turns himself in, and then he gets 25 years in jail, but because all of these people gave this heartfelt testimony about how he was a good guy in a bad situation, he gets parole in 5 years, and then he goes out, and there's his love there, and they drive off to start their life together, and that's the movie.
Yeah. I liked all of the... There's two things that I particularly like. First of all, I liked all the heist parts, because I love heist films and heist games. That's just me personally. I love that stuff.
Yeah. I love the driving scenes.
Did actually like the romance parts. I thought they were a bit cringy at some times, but at the same time they were very sweet, and it was a welcome break from otherwise just
violence and action.
Yeah. It was a bit Transformers-y in some respects. Yeah, those are my two favorite parts of the film.
I mean, I also very much liked the romance pieces. Again, it's very cliche, and it was a little like surface level. Yeah, it was like you kind of knew where it was going to go from the moment they met each other.
Yeah.
But that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's nice to just have something formulaic. And sweet and wholesome. Nothing says wholesome like shooting someone in the chest right in front of your love.
And then your love being just like, cool, I'm going to wait 5 years for you.
Yeah.
Even though I met you only 2 days ago. That
was kind of... it shows that there was some lasting piece to it. The other thing that I really like... I love the driving. Like, all of the driving scenes and the music that went along with them. Like, I really enjoyed watching those scenes. Just...
it was no John Wick, driving-wise.
No, it wasn't. But I still enjoyed it. Again, this wasn't like a movie that you're gonna like write home about. It's not gonna be on anyone's top 10 list. But it's if you want to see like an action movie with some interesting bits and some decent like acting talent in it, it's pretty good. It's worth a watch. Things I didn't like, like. Baby, the main character.
Yeah, I didn't like him.
His character arc made no sense to me. Like, sometimes he is, like, at the beginning it's like, oh, I'm disturbed by death here. And it's implied that he's been doing this for a while, because he had all that money on the floor, and he's somehow disturbed when, like, one of the gang members gets shot, or when somebody gets killed on the job, or something like that. And then...
Yeah, I think the tinnitus was a good aspect. I think without the fact that he had... This is going to sound weird. Without the fact that he had this hearing disability, which kind of also linked into his past, and it gave a reason why he had this particular style of wearing headphones all the time.
Yeah.
I think that gave it some really nice flavour, which you don't normally get.
Yeah.
But aside from that, he was the most bland, vanilla character.
So I did forget to mention that. He had been in like some kind of a car accident as a kid where both his parents died, and he got tinnitus from it, which is why he wears headphones when he's driving and everything. But anyway, yeah, his backstory was good, but it didn't make any sense. He went from being squeamish about people dying around him to being a stone-cold killer within 2 days. Like, what? Where did this happen? Like, he went from, like, oh, I'm a little squeamish because this guy that's a bit of a dumbass and a petty criminal got shot in the face and I have to get rid of his body, to 2 days later, I'm going to blow John Hamm up and shoot him in the chest. Like, Where did this come from?
Yeah.
But there was that. But yeah, besides that, he was just an empty vessel. He was just like insert protagonist with a few interesting bits on him. The other character that I wasn't really, I don't know. The character I did really like actually in the movie was John Hamm, the dude that was in the criminal couple there. Like he
was pretty cool.
He made he was sympathetic in the beginning, and when he got pushed over the edge, he made a very good villain.
Yeah, I think he was a bit cowardly. In the middle part, I think he kind of lost his venom, his criminalness for a large chunk of it. But at the same time, he was a dynamic character who you could see he wasn't just another pawn. He was actually fairly smart. He had taste. So even though he was a criminal, he still liked Queen, for example.
And he had like some character building moments with Baby in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like the Red Jacket, what was his name?
Jamie Foxx is the actor. His name was Bats in the movie.
He's just stereotype.
Just I am a criminal. I'm a killer.
I'm a criminal. I'm crazy. That's me. Don't need to know anything else about me. I've got no history. They even branch into the interesting guy's like backstory a bit, where Jamie Foxx is like, I bet you used to be a
stockbroker.
Yeah, and then you picked up this hooker, and then became a criminal in the desert or something. I was like, well, he's not even narrating his own backstory. He's narrating the interesting person's story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, in the last minute of the segment, should we talk about Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, well, that's true. So, well, I think we spent a lot of time on that one. The other movie we watched this week, as Blue has said, was the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Something, Curse of the Black Pearl, I think is the subtitle.
Which I'm sure far more people have watched, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not going to bother giving the plot synopsis. If you haven't seen it already, go see it. It's a great movie. It's been out for 18 years now, so just...
has it been that long?
It came out in 2003, yeah.
Damn. Yeah, it's weird going back there and watching a film that I haven't seen in so long. It's like going back and watching Star Wars. Like, it's a timeless classic that you have to do. And when I went back to Black Pearl and started watching it again, something that struck me was how young all the actors were in it.
That's true, yeah.
Because I never really noticed that before. In fact, Johnny Depp at some points kind of looked almost effeminate. In that he had no real, like, scars or anything. He was very smooth.
Yeah.
And he hadn't fully, I think, captured at this point in this film the essence of Jack Sparrow that you see in later films.
Yeah, but
still fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a great, and there's a lot of like fun moments in it, and a lot of very good like one-liners, like the classic, "Why is the rum gone?"
Yeah, why is it always the rum? Which they do, I think, overplay later, because they do use that line a lot.
They do, well, because the line got so popular, they're like, oh, we have to have it in now.
Yeah. There were a lot of scenes, though, like when they first see Tortuga, and they're like basically showing you the kind of scene that goes on the everyday. And it's like people getting punched, people fudging, making tacos, that's the word.
Breaking bottles on each other's head.
Like pouring beer off of a balcony to land in another person's mouth kind of thing. And I was like, how fucking fun must that have been to do that scene in person? All the actors just sprinting around, just like having a whale of a time. That must have been so much fun.
That's true. That probably would have been a lot of fun to film.
Yeah. And then I was thinking about when the ship battles happened. I assume that's not CGI. Do they have like real fucking ships for that?
I imagine they had real ships for like a lot of the scenes, but some of the things like
that can't be cheap. I mean, granted it's Disney, but like a whole fucking battleship.
But I don't think Disney expected this movie to like blow up the way it did, because I don't know if they even planned to have sequels. Because the first movie ends in a way that it could just be the end, and they never make another one. It's only later that they establish some kind of a continuity.
Yeah, that's true. It could have cut off there. And to be fair, I think aside from the main characters being, Jack Will, Elizabeth, Norrington, aside from their tentative links to each other, all the episodes after, like, the events aren't linked to each other, I don't think. They're separate events, but with the same characters.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm trying to think, like, the character that really stands out, the standout performance is Jack Sparrow. Yeah. Like, Johnny...
He makes the film.
I did that. That was, I think I did that Halloween costume my freshman year of college. That would have been 2007. It was, like, I love doing that costume. But there was something I was thinking about just now that I'm trying to think... Oh, right. So... that was the stand-up performance. That's the one that people, like, always remember. But now, rewatching it, I actually have a newfound respect for William Turner, like, as a character. Because...
Really?
Well, but for an odd reason. Because I think he does a very good job of being... like, because he's supposed to be this uptight, straight-laced person who takes everything way too seriously.
He's very soy boy. If that's something I can say.
Maybe, I don't know. But he's very intense. Like, with the blacksmithing thing, he's like... But as a character, think about this. He's devoted himself to the fact that he makes better swords than his master, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like the blacksmithing angle. I just think he's whiny.
And then when he's wants to save, like, you know, the girl, he commits himself to that 100% to the point where he frees a criminal, steals a ship, and goes off and is willing to, you know, die. And then at the end, when he thinks that Jack has, you know, suffered an injustice, he, again, just goes 100% on it. And I'm not saying that that's a good character trait. I'm saying that it's portrayed very consistently throughout the movie.
Yeah, it's...
I don't like him as a person. I think he's an uptight prick. But, as, like, if that's what they were going for, was to make him the penultimate uptight prick. I know penultimate means second best. But penultimate uptight prick, then
everyone knows that I am the ultimate pent-up prick. No, but I don't know. I find him whiny. I felt like he was essentially a tool to push the narrative along.
That's how I felt about him when I first saw the movie. I feel like I'm seeing him in I've got a different perspective on him now. I feel like he's a little bit more than that. He is a plot device. Don't get me wrong. But he does have a character arc.
Yeah. Also, I'm not a massive fan of how everyone in the series is essentially trying to get their leg over Elizabeth. And Elizabeth is kind of letting most of them.
Jack isn't, though. Like, for the most...
He is in later.
Oh, he is in the... I haven't seen the later ones in a while. In the first movie, he isn't. Like, the only thing he wants is his ship, and he's willing to sacrifice anyone and everyone to get it.
Yeah, and to be fair, she even uses her feminine wiles. I use...
Yeah.
Double quotation marks for the people who can't see, to exploit Jack.
Yeah, she gets him drunk so she can, like, steal all the rum, set it on fire, and send up a smoke signal.
Yeah, to get him off his guard.
I loved the bit of just, again, it's the bit of non-verbal acting when she, like, sits down in the sand and says, "That smoke signal's 1,000 feet high, everyone's gonna see it," or stuff like that, and he's behind her and his eyes just go wide and he pulls the pistol out and you can tell he's thinking about it.
It's like, and then the bit, like, just a little bit later when he's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be able to live with her now."
Yeah.
It's like the boat's already coming.
He's like, "Oh, it must have been awful for you, Jack." "Well, it bloody is now." And then right after that he sees the boat. There are a lot of really memorable scenes in that first movie.
Yeah, just a lot of good single lines, and single lines are the best lines, really. Like when Jack gets to the front of the money heap after leaving the island, and Barbossa's like, "What the fuck?" So I can't remember the line he used, but just the pure expression of how the fuck did he get off the island this time?
Yeah, or like when he shows up in the cave for the first time, and like he's just wandering around with an oar, and then the pirates all like kind of pull swords on him, and he just turns around and wanders the other way, and then there's more pirates there, and he turns back and he's like, Parsnips.
Parsley.
The guy's like, parlay? That's another running joke that goes through the whole thing.
Yeah, those duo.
Yeah.
And their equivalent on the Navy side as well.
Yeah, both the Navy and the pirates have their Tweedledum and Tweedledee.
Ooh.
I do.
I was always super grossed out by the whole eye thing, though. When I was a kid.
That's a bit much. It doesn't,
especially with the fucking cutlery scene.
That one didn't bother me quite as much. It more like the line that bothered me is when he goes like, "It does splinter something awful."
Oh yeah. Anyway, move away from that topic already, because
okay. Last thing, last line, one-liner that I really loved that I have to I always remember is when Jack's leaving at the very end of the movie, and his line is, he's talking to Elizabeth, and he's like, it never would have worked between us, and then he's like, and William, nice hat. And then he
has the most childish grin on his hat, like, yeah, I have got a nice hat, haven't I?
Oh, it's such it is. There's just a lot
classic. This is the day you almost
and then he falls off
before he finishes his line.
Oh, there were a lot of like self-referential things in the movie. Like that scene is referring to when Elizabeth fell over, and in the beginning where he's like, "This is you almost caught Jack Sparrow." Yeah. And the nice hat thing is referring to the fact that, like, the pirates, they're obsessed. They need the big hat.
The hats are important.
They are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We've already gone on for a bit, but I didn't want... This is a classic movie. Watch it. And Baby Driver's good if you're looking for some just casual action.
Yeah. It's a good Saturday night pizza movie.
Yes. Good movie to sit down and watch with some friends. All right. So... that's going to be the end of segment 2 of the TMCJ podcast. We are going to have a quiz segment for segment 3, so look forward to that. But yeah, you'll hear us again momentarily. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 3, our wildcard segment, and this week it is another quiz segment. Blue is quizzing me, which is why both of our lovely faces are up here on the screen, for those of you watching on YouTube. For those of you in an audio format, Blue is blurry for some reason.
Why am I blurry, right?
What did you do to your camera?
Man, is it?
We are already off to an absolutely brilliant start here.
Oh, is it adjusted?
Yeah, it adjusted. Yep, I can see you now.
Nice. Sorry, that's why I was going like this.
Yeah, I figured as much, because I was is that just, like, my video quality, or...?
It's just I'm naturally a blurry person.
A little bit opaque, as it were. Anyway, wasn't that a line from Eye of Argon? Didn't he describe the woman as opaque? Which just means you can't see through it? Or something? No, he didn't use I don't know.
It sounds like something they would say.
This isn't an Eye of Argon segment. This is a quiz segment. Blue, what is the theme of the quiz for this week?
The theme of the quiz this week is history. But, okay. Let me break it down. Last week or the week before or something, you were like, I quite like to do a history quiz. So I thought, I thought to myself, how can I make this as painful for Kaiser as possible while still being history? But I thought that's a lot of effort, and I don't want to completely rail him. So there's a very weird mix of history. Both cultural history, and then, like, war history, and then just straight up random shit history.
Okay, is the history shit, or is... Sorry. Alright, let's get started then.
Okay, there are no particular order for easiness or difficulty. We'll just go through and see how you do. I would like you to keep score, because I have got enough shit on my plate.
Yep, I've got my notebook here. I am writing down a scoreboard.
Awesome. I have a stopwatch.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay. I hope at home you get... remember, if you get more points than Kaiser, then you win. But good luck on this one, because I think you'll be pretty good at it.
Hopefully.
Okay. Bum 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 bum. First question. When was dairy milk first sold?
Dairy milk.
I will give you 10 years either side.
Are we looking? Is this like a brand name, or are you just talking about?
You have 45 seconds.
Okay, well, the answer is probably way back into the several thousands BC, because I'm pretty sure they were selling milk in Babylon.
Dairy milk, the brand.
Okay, the brand. Okay, that's what I was. All right, so I'm going to say 1840.
1840. You're saying 1840 for when it was first sold.
Yeah. I
Right,
feel like
so
it's an old brand.
So I believe the person Mr. Cadbury, I think he came up with it somewhere in the 1880s, I think it was. The first dairy milk bar was sold in 1905.
It's a candy bar?
Dairy milk.
I've never heard of it. Is this a British brand?
You've never heard of dairy milk?
No.
No way is this a British
dairy.
thing.
You say dairy milk, I'm thinking of like a gallon of milk that you get at the supermarket.
It's... How do you not know what Cadbury's is?
I know what Cadbury's is, but they're
Are
also
they not available in America?
Cadbury's cream eggs. I think you can get those here, but they're not that common.
Hang on. This is mind blowing. Is Cadbury's oh wait.
Cultural
Cadbury
differences.
American? It's a British multinational confectionery company.
You can get like Cadbury cream eggs over here, but they're not as common as a lot of other brands.
That Cadbury is like the de facto. It's like the BBC of chocolate.
Well,
right?
that's why when you said dairy milk, I'm thinking like, okay, milk from a cow. They've been selling that since like way thousands of years in the past. That's why the 10-year thing threw me off too. I'm like,
all right, fair enough. So because it's a British thing, and obviously it was going to be tough anyway because you're not a sweet person. I'll give you a half point for that. So I'll take
all right.
a half drink. Oh, whoops. Okay, question 2. I realise now the first part of this quiz is quite English based. But anyway.
I know a good
Question
amount
2.
about English history.
How old is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II?
Do I get any margin for error on this one?
2 years on either side.
I want to say she's 91, but I'm not sure.
Do you want to submit that as your final answer?
That is my final answer. I'm going to say 91.
Are you sure?
Yes. What is she, like 93 or something?
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II is 95 years old.
Oh, so close. I
So
knew she was in her
close.
90s. I knew she was in her 90s. I just didn't know how old.
She's ahead, yep. Bam. Take a sip of your legitimate tea. Your clear tea.
That is really tasty.
Mmm.
I got some higher quality tea for this one.
I see.
It's delicious. Oh my
Here's
God.
a fun one I think you'll enjoy.
Yep.
Are you ready? Okay, we're moving away from England now slightly.
Over the sea in England land.
Question 3. On the Wikipedia page, list of invasions of France, how many invasions has there been?
Oh, I could give you just by, like, I know the British have done 37, but...
I will give... No. I'm telling you now that's not the answer.
Okay, that's just the British.
I will give you to the 4 on either side.
4 on either side? Alright. Is it just since France was incorporated as France, or are we going back to when it was Lyon and Catalan and, like, all these other things?
I'm going to assume no.
Okay. Then
So it's only the recent.
Only so since it's been constituted as France, I'm going to say, I don't know if I want to go high or low on this one, because
I had to specify that it was the Wikipedia page, because obviously what constitutes as an invasion can be different from person to person.
yeah. So just within the time, I'm gonna say, hey, fuck it, 42.
42. You're going with 42? I didn't even have a timer. Oh well. How many invasions has there been? 13 invasions.
13, okay. I went way too high. My low guess was going to be like 20-something, but even then I would have been off.
Yeah, well, when you said, like, just the British have done it 36 times, I was like, oh no, this is going to be...
To be fair, that's the amount of times that the British and French have been at war. Which doesn't necessarily constitute an invasion. Sometimes France was invading Britain, sometimes it was a naval conflict. But
clearly you need to update this Wikipedia page.
Well, that's the thing. And the other thing is France has only been France for like 200 or 300 years. Before that, they were split up into like, you know, Catalan and Leon and like and Burgundy and all these other like mini kingdoms.
Okay, next one.
Mm-hmm.
It's one from your home.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Oh, yep. All right, are you ready for question 4?
Yep.
How many individuals have been presidents of the United States? And as a bonus point, how many presidencies have there been?
Oh, this is going to be tricky because there's been a few repeats. Let's see, what president are we on now? Do I get any margin for error on this? I think Biden's
2.
what? I think Biden's the 45th president of the United States. My dad can recite all the presidents from memory and tell stuff like this, so he's going to be mad at me if I get this one wrong. But I know
25 seconds.
There's been one guy that repeated. I'm going to say that there have been 43 presidents, and that there have been, well, 45.
There's no margin for error on the second part of the question.
Yeah, on the second part of the question, presidencies, it's how many people have repeated presidency. I'm going to say there have been 35 presidencies.
Alright, so look. Wait, 35 presidencies?
Yeah, for the bonus point I said 35. For the first one I said 43.
Okay. I think you got that the wrong way around.
Oh, well...
So,
maybe...
you said there have been 45 presidents, right?
Yeah, I think Biden's... Is Biden the 45th? I don't know. I don't really...
Wait, you said 43 presidents, right? I'm already forgetting it, because you said 43 and 45 at one point. Okay. What's your final answer? I'm going to give you a chance now. 43 or 45?
I'm going to say 45. I think there have been... I think he's the 45th president, so I think there have been 45 presidents. But presidencies... I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about this the wrong way. What's the answer? How badly did I get this wrong?
There have been 45 presidents.
Okay. Got that right.
So bang on. Bonus, there are 46 presidencies because Grover Cleveland was elected to 2 non-consecutive terms and as such is considered the 22nd and 24th president of the United States.
Okay, I was getting that. So I was getting it mixed up because I knew about him, and that's why when I said there were 45 presidents, I lessened the number.
One person, yeah.
Yeah, it was twice.
Well, yeah, you should have increased it, not decreased it.
Yeah, I thought about it the wrong way, but I got it exactly right. So
you got that one right.
I missed the bonus point.
I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Some strong coffee.
The score so far, by the way, is you have 2.5 points. I have 1.5 points.
Okay, you're doing not too bad. Question 5. How long ago did the dinosaurs go extinct? To the nearest 3 million years.
65 million years ago?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Fucking nailed it.
Oh, bam!
65 million years ago. Bam! Whew! Alright. Also, you know when you spill a little bit and the coaster's just stuck to the bottom of your...
Yes, I do. That actually happened at work. I had like a company-branded coffee mug, but I don't drink coffee, so I just use tea in it. But a little bit of the tea would always spill over the edge whenever I'm, dunking the tea bag. And so it would stick to the coaster on my desk. And more than a few times, like, I'd pick it up and the coaster would be stuck there and I just couldn't be bothered to, like, knock it off. And so I would just drink the cup with the coaster stuck to the bottom of it, and then put it down, and the coaster would stay on it the whole time. And
It's always like a danger game, especially when you have like a heavier coaster, when you're like lifting it and you're like...
Yeah. I had a coworker that was at a desk right next to mine, and he saw me do it one time. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, he just busted out laughing. Anyway.
Class.
All right.
Right, yes, the next question. When I find the sheet again. Okay, question 6. What was the first Disney movie?
Oh, man.
I thought you'd be straight on this one.
No, I think I know what it is, but I'm not 100% sure. I know it was one of the
Specifically movie, not like first animation.
No, I know what you mean, and I think I know what it is, but...
And I'll give you a bonus point if you can get the year it was released in as well.
I want to say it's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and I want to say that it was in the 40s or 50s. I'm going to say 1948, and it was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Did I get them both wrong? What was it?
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Got that right? Okay.
Fucking nailed that. 1937.
Oh, wow. It was even earlier than I thought.
But that was a bonus point, so cheers.
Nice. Yeah. I knew it was between that one and, like, there was one other movie that I know was released really early on in Disney's history, and I was struggling to figure out which one it was.
The next question is one that will be very bad for our YouTube channel.
Oh, boy. Oh, this is the one that you said that you don't know if you could ask. All right, come on. Let's hear it.
Right. I'm going to give you... a minute still. And you'll get a half point for each answer you give. Alright?
Mm-hmm.
Name as many dictators as you can from the 20th century. Go.
Hitler, Mussolini,
Yep.
Stalin,
Yep.
Mao,
Yep.
Pinochenko.
Yep. Wait, Pinochenko?
Or what's his name? It sounds like that. He was a dictator in Chile. I can't remember his name.
I'm going to need the correct name, either his first or last name.
Whatever. Let's go somewhere else.
Okay.
Bolsonaro, does he count? No, probably no. I think he's 21st century. Oh, crap. I got all the big ones. I got the easy ones, and now I'm just like losing it.
Yeah. There's a couple of really obvious ones.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the dictator of Spain, and I can't remember his name.
There's ones closer to your home that you could probably...
Oh, Fidel Castro.
Time out. I'm gonna give you that because it was literally on the second.
Yeah. Also,
so,
I could have said
5?
Kim Il-sung. I could have said...
Yep.
Actually...
Shall I list off the list I have?
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, Mao.
Yep.
Kim Il-sung.
Yep.
Ferdinand Marcos.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that one. Mugabe, that's one I could have done too. Who's Ferdinand Marcos?
Idi Amin. Augusto Pinochet.
Pinochet, that's what I was thinking of. Also, do you have what's his name? Not Chiang Kai-shek.
You missed another big one as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Shall I keep going through the list?
Yeah, keep going through the list.
Pol Pot.
That's what I was thinking of. Pol Pot.
Slobodan Milosevic.
Don't know that one.
Saddam Hussein.
Oh, that's true. He was in the 90s. That's the 20th century. Yeah.
Castro.
Yep.
Francisco Franco.
That's the Spain one. I could not think of his name.
Ho Chi Minh.
Yep.
Enver Pasha. Yahya Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Hideki Tojo. Juan Perón.
Oh, Juan Perón, Argentina. I wasn't thinking of that.
Josip Broz. Tito.
Don't know that one.
And Ruhollah Khomeini.
It's funny, now that you're listing these people, you're listing them out, and, like, once I hear their names, I'm like, I can tell you where they were located, what country they were in, and everything. It's just, I couldn't think
know,
of it.
like, 70% of these people.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's, yeah. You got Castro right at the end there. That was good.
Alright, so I got 5 of them, and how many did I not get?
I think it was like 20,
Was there a minimal threshold that I had to get? Like a minimum percentage? Or did you say half a point per?
There was like 20 or 21. I said half a point each. So,
okay, so
I'm going to take a big old chug.
2. So I got 2.5 points. Alright, cool. I'm actually doing pretty good there. I'm at 6 points. What the thing is, how are you supposed to get any points out of that one? Because even if I answered 0, you wouldn't get any points.
If you got 0, if you got less than 1, you would have drunk.
That's a good point.
But that's true. You're never going to forget Stalin, Hitler, and Mussolini.
Like, yeah, right there. There's 1.5 points. Then it was all bonus things. Pinochet is actually fairly famous as a dictator because he.
Never heard of him.
So I want to say he was.
I've heard of Ho Chi Minh. Because of the trail.
Pinochet was one of the only dictators out there who peacefully gave up office. Like, he got to a point, had an authoritarian regime, threw people out of helicopters as his favorite form of execution, and then just decided one day, yeah, I'm going to retire. And he just picked somebody, and then they had a new government. And he lived out the rest of his life in peace on a villa. Like,
well, that's kind of depressing.
Yeah, he was, but he's unique in amongst dictators that he didn't have, like, some kind of painful end.
Yeah. All right. Go on.
What did I call him? I was like, I called him like Pirouet or something like that. I couldn't think of his name.
It was, yeah. It sounded authentic. I saw it and I was like, oh, you got it right. And I was like, hang on, no, that's not right. Yeah, Augusto Pinocchio.
Augusto Pinocchio, yes.
Question 8.
Yes.
Who was King Arthur's spouse? Oh, fuck, I will need to start the clock for this one.
Was it Guinevere?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I'm going to say that's my final answer.
And say it again?
Guinevere?
Alright, I'm stopping the clock. I will give you a half a point.
Okay, what is it?
Because it's Guinevere.
Guinevere. Wait, is this some of those gay French pronunciation sort of things? Like...
King Arthur was English!
Wait, Guinevere, okay. Is there a Guinevere?
Guinevere sounds French, alright? That sounds a lot more French than Guinevere.
Alright, half a point.
Alright.
You're up to 3 points now, because you've gone...
Are you winning? I think you're winning.
I am. I've got double your score right now.
Holy crap. Man, that question's 7, really.
Well, yeah.
In terms
of questions, we're very close, but I did pull 2.5 points off of that. Just realized I have no... How do you represent 2.5 with your hands? Like, do you...
Yeah.
There we go. 2.5.
Yeah. Cool. Question 9.
Yep.
Name 2 Oh, I love this one. Name 2 inventions / discoveries by the Aztecs.
Huh. I mean, they had calendars, but that was sort of the Mayans. They also made...
I'll give you a slight clue. It's not so much like... It's more items as opposed to ways of working or anything.
I mean, they made an artificial island. That was something.
Yeah, that's not a discovery.
Well, it's... Okay. They made biological weapons using bees.
It's not on my list.
Oh, God. Okay.
Quality of life items.
Chocolate. They drank chocolate. It was kind of like an elite thing. I don't
Last
know.
answer, 3 seconds.
I honestly, I'm not. I'm kind
Okay,
of.
stop it.
They killed
Okay,
a lot of
so-
people.
Well, yeah, I think they were big into sacrifice, and maybe did they do cannibalism? I can't remember.
I think they ritualistically ate the hearts of the people that they sacrificed, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay,
that might
cannibalism.
I might be thinking of something else. But they did sacrifice quite a staggering number of people.
So the list that I came up with: chocolate. You're absolutely right,
Okay.
but you need 2 inventions. The rest of the list, they invented chewing gum,
Okay.
guacamole,
Makes sense.
kind of interesting, antispasmodic medication.
Okay. Didn't know about that one.
Which is, when you said the biological warfare, I was kind of questioning whether it was kind of
No, so what
maybe
they
used that.
what they did was they would take these like killer hornets and they would
Just straight up venom.
they would carefully place the hives on top of like traps, and so when their enemies would attack them, they would use those hive traps to essentially. It's like a flashbang grenade, but made of bees.
That can kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Chinampa, which I looked it up, and I think it's some kind of method of irrigating. Like, so they'd have like their crops with water all around them, and they'd have like these boats, kind of things that would float between. It's something to do with that.
No, I know what you're talking about. I do know what you're talking about now. I just didn't know what it was called.
Vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Tobacco smoking,
Makes sense.
and saunas.
The saunas actually, they had them, but they were also used by the Mississippian people, the river people that lived in North America before they got wiped out.
Honestly, I can't disagree with any of the things. All these things are great things. Chocolate, chewing gum, guacamole, medication, vanilla.
If it wasn't for that pesky human sacrifice, they
saunas.
would have been great.
Yeah, right?
But they also
Gosh
did.
damn it.
Their capital city, Tenochtitlan, was built on a lake. It was an artificial island.
And the only reason I know that Tenochtitlan is their capital is because of civilization. Thank you. Sid Meier's.
Video games teaching the world. All right, so half point on that one.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I'm glad I poured enough. Question 10. When were the United States formed? It's going to be another one that your dad's going to tell you off if you get wrong.
Well, we declared independence in 1776, but that wasn't when we actually formed. They started off with the Articles of Confederation and then eventually moved on to the Constitution. God. Do I have any margin for error? I want to say it was 1781.
That's your final answer?
That's my final answer. You can decide
All right.
whether or not to give me any sort of margin here. I am ahead, so you're perfectly within your rights to say I got it wrong.
You did... Tell you what, if you can tell me the month and the day of 1776 when the United States was formed in my answer.
Wait.
So 1776 was the answer, but there's also a specific date. If you can tell me that, I'll give you the full answer correct.
Well, I mean, I'm just
Because you
gonna...
did say 1776,
I did...
but then you went for something else.
Well, yeah, because I didn't... I thought it was like a trick question, because that's the Independence Day. Well, that means July 4th, but that's when we celebrated. I don't know if that was the actual day.
If you type into to Google, when was the United... Hang on, let me just check before I actually put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. If you type into Google, when were the United States formed, it gives you 1776 and a specific date. What was that date?
I am going to... Because I don't know, and I wouldn't know where to start.
Okay.
I am going to say July 4th, because that's when we celebrate it.
Correct.
Okay.
Bam.
I was
I have
overthinking that.
taken a drink.
I was really overthinking that.
Okay. On to question 11.
Ironically, like, American history is probably one of my weakest history topics.
It's like I put them in as like an easy thing for you because
No.
then it's like local. But
Because I most of my... Because I grew up here, so I kind of feel like a lot of the history I just, was going to learn in school anyway. So my outside reading was about, like, ancient history, antiquity, medieval Europe, medieval and ancient Asia, like places that I didn't grow up and I wanted to know about, like South America and stuff like that. So, ironically, specifics of American history are some of the toughest things for me.
well, then you'll like this next question.
Okay.
Question 11. How did Genghis Khan supposedly die?
Wasn't it like an STD?
There are multiple ways that he's supposedly died. I just want you to give me one of them,
I might be
basically.
thinking of something else.
There are two essential answers that I would like to hear.
I think... Oh, God, I really don't know a whole lot about his death. I knew how he rose to power. He killed his brother. But he, how he died...
How the Great Fall.
I think he had some kind of a... It was a disease. He didn't get murdered. It was either some kind of, like, he was, like, obese and he had something happen to him and died of, like, something like that, or it was an STD. Because he did bang a lot of people. Seriously, I think 1/3 of the world's population is descended from Genghis Khan, like the modern population. Yeah, I'll say it's an STD. Why not?
Okay. My answer, which is what I'm going off of, the traditional narrative says he died in 1227 from injuries sustained in a fall from a horse.
Okay.
But
But
other sources list everything from malaria to an arrow wound in the knee. He used to be an adventurer like us, Kaiser, but then he took an arrow to the knee. I wonder if that's what that line is taken for. It probably isn't, but it's kind of hilarious to think it is.
You know who I might be thinking of when I say he died from an STD? I think I might be thinking of, who's that gangster from the 20s? Scarface. The actual Scarface. Al Capone. Alright, you got that one.
He had a mental disorder. I think
he did.
Died
He caught syphilis, and he never got it treated, even though there was plenty of readily available treatments for it at the time. And
yeah, he just went nutso.
Yeah, because syphilis eventually infects your brain and starts destroying the tissue up there, and that's what eventually killed him. Anyway, you got that one.
Yeah, I did. Question 12? Question 12. Here's one you'll like. Although I don't think you'll get the answer right. Question 12. When did the original Doom come out?
1991.
I will give you...
Wait, 1991 is way too late, isn't it?
I'll give you 2 years on either side.
You know what? I'm going to stay confident in my just gut answer. I'm going to say 1991.
Can you give me a month?
Oh, God. Are we getting that specific? November.
I'm stopping the clock. Doom came out in 1993. December.
Oh, my God.
You were 1 month out.
Oh, my God. I didn't realize it was... That was
That's
good.
why it was like, ooh, how mean am I going to be? And I realized I had the month, so I was like, I can specify.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
You were less than a month out. Holy crap.
I knew it was early 90s, but I wasn't sure how early 90s.
Take a drink. All right.
This may be one of the most delicious things that I've had for one of these quizzes.
Yeah?
Like, it's seriously tasty. It's like creamy and crisp, and it's got just all these nice flavors to it. Oh, man.
3 questions to go.
I am ready.
Question 13.
Mm-hmm.
Name 5 of history's top 8 greatest rulers according to a random list that I found on the internet.
God damn it! So I gotta listen to this jackass? Alright. Greatest rulers. How far back is are they going, like, all throughout history?
All throughout history. 45
right.
seconds.
Well, fuck. Let's go with some random... Well, let's go with Gilgamesh.
Wait.
That's going way far back.
Nope.
Okay. Not going far as back as Babylon, I see. Alright, let's go with Augustus Caesar, also
Correct.
known as Octavian. There's...
20 seconds.
Charlemagne.
Yep.
Crap. Did they put Churchill in there?
15 seconds. Nope.
Okay. Crap.
10 seconds. Come on.
Genghis
you know
Khan.
better than this. What?
Genghis Khan?
Yes. 2 more.
Really? He's in there too.
3 seconds. Fucked it.
Nobunaga.
I can't believe you only got 3 of them.
Can I say... Wait, hold on. Is Nobunaga on the list?
No.
Oh, crap. Well, you say greatest, and I'm trying to think, like... There's a lot to work with.
So,
I'm pulling
you
from,
needed
like,
5
hundreds of them.
of history's top 8 greatest rulers according to a random list I found.
Who did
First of all, Caesar.
Caesar was not a great leader. He fucked up everything when he was actually in power. He started
Next.
a civil war, got half the Roman population killed, and then ended up wasting tons of fucking money. Augustus Caesar was his son, and he actually cleaned all the shit up. Caesar was not a great leader.
It just says Caesar on here. It doesn't say which Caesar.
Well, so Octavian Caesar, or also known as Emperor Augustus, was the other one. So
He's still a Caesar.
he is still a Caesar. I said him. I did say
Yeah,
him.
you said Caesar. I accepted Caesar. Alexander the Great.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Although he was a shit administrator. He was good in combat, but he sucked at administration.
To be fair, I don't think Genghis Khan is much of an administrator either.
No, he did have a fairly large empire, but he also killed a huge swath of the population, and when he died, his empire fell to pieces. Same thing with Alexander.
Joseph II.
Of...
I don't know, just said Joseph II. I don't even know who that is. Hang on, let me check.
Yeah, Joseph II who? Oh, Peter the Great! Why didn't I think of him?
Joseph II, Holy Roman Empire, sole ruler of the Habsburg lands from November 1780 till his death. He was the eldest son of Empress Maria Theresa and her husband, Emperor Francis I. I don't know.
Honestly, I could have just named anyone from the Habsburgs. Pretty much ruled Europe for a good chunk of its history.
The brother of Marie Antoinette, that's the only name I know from that list.
Yeah, I knew Marie. I know who Marie Antoinette is.
Yeah, Genghis Khan, like you said. Queen Elizabeth I.
Okay, that's legit. Yeah, she was pretty good.
Pretty badass. Charlemagne.
Okay, got
nailed
him.
that one.
Yeah, is Peter the Great on there? Of Russia?
No.
Really?
Napoleon.
Arguable.
Yeah, he was more of a military...
He was
again, I think a lot of the things on this list are military leaders.
Yeah, if it was military leaders, I'd actually agree with Caesar if we were saying military leaders, because Caesar was great in the field. He just blew once he actually got power.
And the last one, to your absolute shame, Abraham Lincoln.
Again, I mean, he gets credit because he was, he won a war. And he kept the country together when it was going to split in half. So
I didn't limit the number of leaders you were suggesting. You could have just gone through every leader you knew.
I could have, and I think my mistake was I was trying to use my own definition of a great... Because when I say a great leader, I think of somebody who was good militarily and also good as an administrator and also famous. Those were the 3 things I was trying to pick from. And
I would say you get half a point, but I've been very generous with the points
you
up
have
till
been
now,
very
so you
generous.
don't get any points.
Yes, so you get that one. You're catching up to me, actually.
Well, there's one question left, so I don't know if I can.
No, you can't. You need 2 points to win.
There we go. Okay, the final question. And I'm just going to have to follow this link so I know exactly the answer myself. Okay. How many days have there been since the year of our Lord 0 AD?
Really?
I will give you to the nearest.
The 15th question is a fucking math question.
I will give you to the nearest 50,000th day.
Alright.
To give you some level of perspective.
Alright, hold on. 730 times...
Where's 730 coming from?
Just give me a second.
Okay.
730,000.
I'm not even going to time this one.
737,300 days.
That's fucking incredible. I don't know how the fuck you worked that out.
I'm an engineer. I can do math in my head.
The answer is 738,304.
I was off by a little over 1,000.
You're off by 8,004.
I said 737,300.
Oh, I thought you said 730,000.
No, 737,300.
Okay. Then 1,004 days.
That close.
Holy fuck, I did not expect you to get that right. Cheers. Good job.
Hey, I'll drink with you in the last one, too. That was actually a really good quiz. I had a lot of fun with it. And it was more even than... So
I thought you were going to... I mean, granted, question 7, the dictator question, I was a bit too generous on that one, but there were other ones that were quite tough.
Yeah, the dictator question is what put me ahead in points. I think you actually won in terms of questions. So the final score was you had 6.5 points, and I had 9.5 points. Oh, no, sorry, I just had 9 points, not 9.5.
I think that was the first time we've ever got it where the quizzed are the one who gets more answers right.
Yeah, normally the quizzee tends to come out on top.
Well, there we go. I'm glad you liked the questions.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And hopefully everyone at home enjoyed that. I know it was more historical based. Maybe not everyone enjoys history as much as I do, but I had a lot of fun with that. Yeah, any final thoughts before we close out? We actually didn't go too long on this one, despite going over on the first view.
I would be quite interested to know whether your parents did better than you.
My dad definitely did better than me on the American history ones, especially the presidential one. I guarantee you he probably got that one. And
I really thought dairy milk was like a worldwide thing. Because it's like so big here.
Yeah, it's not well known at all in the US. Like, if you're talking like candy companies in the US, you're really talking about like, Nestle or Hershey's.
Or like Galaxy, for example. You've got Galaxy, right?
Probably. I've never heard of them.
Maybe not.
There's a lot.
They like own all the chocolate over here.
There's a lot of candies that I've heard like watching British and European TV that I've never heard of before.
Oh, have I gone fuzzy again?
You have gone fuzzy again. I don't know what's going on with your camera, dude. Now you're just fuzzy and close. Get out of my face.
Yeah, but it's like so it adjusts, but it's not wanting to now.
Oh my god. All right. Hopefully everyone enjoyed this. This is going to be the end of episode 44 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you'll hear us again next week.
Have a sweet week.